Ready? Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of council for the 9th of September, 2025. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional territory of Indigenous peoples who've been stewards of the land since time immemorial, and as such, we treat the land, its plants, animals, stories, and people with honor and respect. Can we have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. My comments for today. As we progress through the month of September, there's been a noticeable change in the weather, letting us know that the winter season is not that far away. With that comes questions and concerns about the shelter and well-being of the homeless population in Bancroft and surrounding municipalities. While the town continues to advocate for improved services, we do not receive any money towards dealing with homelessness, as this is delegated by the province to Hastings County as the service provider. Homelessness initiatives are funded through the Provincial Homeless Prevention Program, for which Hastings County receives $6.2 million to cover programs in all of Hastings County and the separated cities of Belleville and Quinte West. While this amount is totally insufficient to realistically and meaningfully alter the course of increasing homelessness, it does fund operation of the warming room in Bancroft. In the spring of this year, the county presented their plan for the distribution of the $6.2 million from the Homeless Prevention Plan funding, to which the town has expressed concerns regarding a perceived disproportionately low allocation of funding to the northern part of the county. A request was put forward for the county to present their plan to the local community, and this public presentation will take place on September 15th at 3 p.m. at St. John's Anglican Church. We invite everyone to attend to learn the facts and ask pertinent and respectful questions. On our agenda today, staff will bring forward a report on the 2026 budget process that illustrates procedural and timeline requirements in light of the recently granted strong mayor's powers. There is also an update regarding the new garbage bag tag program that has garnered many questions from the public. The reintroduction of the program was a response to the loss of $200,000 in revenue from the new provincial Blue Box program, a desire to increase solid waste diversion rates, and to ultimately decrease pressure on property tax increases. Like most municipalities, the town is faced with aging and degrading infrastructure that will require significant investment in the near and longer term future. We must be creative and look at all means of increased operational efficiency and non-property tax revenue increases to fund our growing requirements. The 1999 provincial amalgamation left the town with a disproportionately low property assessment base relative to its role as a regional hub and the associated costs. But on a positive note, we would like to thank the province of Ontario and MPP Rick Brzee for the recent award of $3.6 million towards the total cost of $5 million for replacement of our water pipe, or standpipe it is known. This will permit us to accelerate other required upgrades to our system and reduce the burden on future water rates. Thank you. Adoption of the open session agenda. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft does hereby approve of the open session agenda dated September 9, 2026 as amended. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Eastman and Deputy Mayor Wiggins. All in favor, please. Thank you. Did I say as amended? I did. Okay. Thank you. Declaration of pecuniary interest and nature thereof. Seeing none. And we have a delegation today. On here it shows that Deb Jeffrey and Sherwood Hines are going to be speaking on well-being North Hastings. And if you guys would like to come to whoever's speaking, come forward. That is fine.
Hello to all. I'm happy to be here today to present our offer to help instead of always being asking for help from the town of Bancroft. This has come about because of the work of many grassroots organizations to be serving unhoused people, as we have been doing for 2 years with meals on weekends. And then last year for a portion of the winter weekend days indoors at St. John Anglican Church. And we were able to secure some funds for that from from the Belleville Quinte Community Health Center, which was quite amazing to have. So we want to keep building on that. And we have taken the big step of incorporation. So we're here today as a new nonprofit in our community, which has been titled Wellbeing North Hastings. The name came from some of the people in the faith-based coalition who were working on a name that would allow the use of all the techniques to lift people out of poverty. And I think it covers it quite nicely. Do you like the name? Does it sound good? Wellbeing North Hastings. So I would like to draw attention to our articles, and it's to relieve poverty by supporting the provision of basic necessities and simple amenities of life, including food, clean water, clothing, public transportation, social inclusion, and/or shelter to individuals or families who are experiencing poverty, are of low income, or are homeless in North Hastings. We feel that covers a lot of ground, and we will begin by focusing on the needs of our homeless population because it is so critical. So that's what brings us here today, with the possibility of us being able to support you in supplying some services. One element that always comes up almost every day in our outreach is the expression by those who are unhoused at not being able to be clean. And it is having a huge effect on their health, which we have seen firsthand over the last number of years. And we've also been aware and have asked before about use of showers at the arena during the daytime, a couple of days a week, properly supervised. And of course, the town did not have funds to do that. But now we think that with our help, we could collaborate to get funds in order to cover staff being there and the cleanup and laundry that might have to go with that. We really feel that this is a great opportunity for the town of Bancroft to work with a nonprofit in the community that is representing a huge number of people now and continues to grow all the time, to work on a collaboration grant that could possibly come our way from United Way. They're very enthusiastic about supporting our unhoused people up here, and there has not been an organization that could take on this kind of role until now again. It did exist to some degree with North Hastings Community Trust, but they're not following that mandate any longer. So we are filling in those gaps. We have also applied to a fairly extensive grant to Hastings County earlier on this summer to provide indoor weekend shelter for people, as we did last winter, but we don't know the outcome of that yet. So if you've had the opportunity to read through the action we requested, we asked that the town of Bancroft join with Wellbeing North Hastings to plan for and to obtain funds to operate a program at North Hastings Community Center, which does have suitable space to give unhoused community members access to showers on a regular basis. We can provide the staff and the supervision. We feel that a couple of days a week with designated 3 or 4 hours on each day that would become well known to the population, that people could have the opportunity to be clean, which is imperative to be achieved as quickly as possible. There has been some talk of being able to use the shower at the warming center, but I don't believe that will be in place anytime soon. I guess that remains to be seen, but that is our understanding. So to begin to address the issues that our health care providers have told us exist, I think Val, you were there, and Paul, you were there at the meeting where we heard from the community members who work, or the CMHA members who work as counselors with our population, and from the harm reduction nurse, that hygiene was a huge, huge, huge issue for unhoused people. And even if you don't want to view it as a humane move, it is a really, really expensive thing to support, because the number of visits to the ER are huge because of health issues from not being able to clean, particularly feet. And then we had this past winter, probably the biggest scare. One of the people that we serve regularly came down with meningitis, and it was not thought that he would make it, but he did. The cost of that, though, sum total, because I believe he was in hospital in intensive care for many weeks, and then subsequently in rehabilitation, would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a huge expense that probably could have been avoided if he had proper access to hygiene. And then unfortunately, he was released back into the community homeless, which again is rather odd to think of all that money being invested in somebody and then they go back to the same circumstances as before. So we would really like to, A, provide a humane living aspect to our population and at the same time serve to cut down the costs to our municipality by supplying this one small service that I think could be well handled with a very small, one of the very small grants that's available from United Way. They seem to be quite enthusiastic about supporting that. So we request that the town of Bancroft pursue the grant as the lead because we don't have our nonprofit status yet. That will take some time to get. We're hoping it won't be too long. We've heard from others that it only took 3 months or so, but we don't actually have, even though we've been working away at all of this for 3 years, we don't have a track record that's accountable. Only the testaments of our community to say that we've been doing this work, but we should be very quickly able to put something in place. We are fairly well assured of getting a startup grant from United Way in order to have a staff member, and St. John Anglican Church has donated an office space to us. So we're all good to go in terms of actually doing work and laying things out and getting a track record to show that we are following up on work that will serve well for our charitable status application, in our opinion. But the urge for sanitary conditions is so huge. I can't even begin to describe how horrible it is to look at people's feet. Skin is peeling off. They can barely walk, and all of them have no other way to get around, generally speaking. And the infections that set in, and some people have come close to losing limbs as well. So we really feel that this one very small element could go a long way to bringing the quality of their life up as we continue to work on the need for full-time shelter. So I hope that you will consider that. It's a really important step you can take forward that actually won't allow or won't provide that much work for you. You don't even have to do the accounting, apparently. It will land in our lap if we were successful in receiving the funds. So thank you for your time. I know that you care, and I hope that you will try and help. Sherwood would like to say a few words because he was one of the main people who was at the warming center on weekends last winter and heard a lot of information from the people who used it. And I think it would be valuable for you to listen to what he has to say as well. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I don't really have much to add to what Deb has said. It's, yeah, this is a very small expense for the town. We want to use a couple showers at the arena 2 days a week, just so, we can get people showered, cleaned up a little bit. Healthcare here talks a lot about how much that would save in the bigger picture. The fact that most of the housing problem right now has been left to the police and to frontline workers and to emergency services. We know that costs way more money than offering, something as simple as 2 days a week, 1 day for men, 1 day for women. We can staff it, we can monitor it, we can clean up, we can do all the stuff. You're supplying the space, and they can get showers, which, if you come to the warming centers in the wintertime or just anytime, talk to some of these people and you see what's happening with their bodies because they just can't shower. They can't clean. It's especially bad in the wintertime because they can't even take a swim or anything like that. So you get some pretty serious problems start happening when you imagine yourself not showering for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in a row kind of deal. So I've worked with this community since the 1990s in Toronto and Halifax and Chicago. I recently returned to my hometown here, and I've got involved in this. Anything you can do here, I know you're limited. I know Paul saw us talk at Belleville in June, I think it was, about the situation up here. I don't know how much you know about the situation, but statistically, we're 9%, North Hastings is 9% of the county population, and right now we have 20% of the homeless. And most of the money is staying south of here. So there's going to be a warming trailer. We assume they're going to tell us on Monday what those details are. We're expecting it to basically be the same as last year, an 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. standing room only space for people, which was like last year. They had 6 beds and standing room only for 14 people. So it's going to be another tough year. You know, the Ford government has already said that they expect rural homeless rates to go up 20%. Officially, we had 41 people homeless here 2 years ago. So you're looking at 50, 55 people this winter. The numbers are not going down. So anything you can do to make little things better for people would be great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've jotted a bunch of notes here that I will address here. Number one, really glad to hear that the forming of this organization. I had a very lengthy conversation with the county CAO last week about, and you were at the June meeting where I expressed my concern about the allocation of funding, that 3 agencies in the south were receiving 48% of the funding, and there was no agency up here or no organization or no money put even set aside for an agency to form. And that was the problem. There was no agency up here. So in my eyes now, there is an agency and there is license for money to come through the county. I guess from what you said, Deb, you applied for funding from the county from one of the programs that was available for this year, which is great. The concern I had with the county program, there was some money that was up for grabs this year, but they had already allocated all of next year's money. And the money that you applied for, assuming you're successful, was like a one-time shot. It was not sustainable. So I really think the continued lobbying effort to get sustainable funding, as several of the organizations in the South are getting, to your organization is what's needed now that there is an organization, et cetera. Tomorrow, I forget, what time is the Community and Human Services meeting? So tomorrow, you can watch us on the county's Facebook page, their Community and Human Services meeting. There's quite a few things on the agenda. On the agenda is a response to a letter I wrote back in January about having some special services available for critical temperatures, et cetera, which I believe they are answering. I also believe that I'm not aware of them all, but I believe they could be discussing some enhancements to the warming room program. I'm not positive on that yet. Just to answer another question, as of last week, everything was full steam ahead for the warming room to be put in and to be hooked up to town services for this year, So there is even the potential there of the shower facilities, et cetera. Not that we're dismissing your request to the town. So I'm curious too to see the outcome of tomorrow's meeting, which I will watch as well on Facebook to see what it is, and then we can take our cues from what we hear tomorrow. I think there's going to be a fairly good attendance at the meeting on Monday. I have had some correspondence with Brandy Hodge, United Way, and she's planning on attending. I'm maybe even Lisa Alley from Canadian Mental Health. They are both sort of a driving force behind the Heart Hub program. And I've asked many questions, and even as recent as Sunday, is we really don't understand what that means for us up here. I know there's an element with the paramedics, Hastings County paramedics, that's moving along, they're in training. Part of the issue has been that this program was announced quite some time ago, but they haven't released any funding. The province hasn't released funding. So everybody's been trying to work in the background without actually being officially launched as of yet. So again, and I'm very pleased with United Way. As you mentioned as well, they seem very intent on helping up here, and I think they've gone above and beyond through the probably, I think it was 14 applications they did before they were actually given the Heart Hub thing. So what actually is all involved with a hard hat? Not really sure. So that's another one of the answers we're trying to find out. So as I mentioned in my opening remarks and on a Facebook post I did the other day, I'm encouraging everybody to attend a meeting on Monday. I think there's some other county councilors that will be coming as well. And I also encourage everyone, if they can, to go on Facebook tomorrow. Did you find the time? We'll see. I think it's yeah, we'll get the time. There's been a change in the meeting schedule to tomorrow because one of the meetings was canceled. The 9:30 or the 10?
10:30.
10:30.
In council chambers and by Zoom.
Yeah. So the Community and Human Services meeting for the county, 10:30 just on their Facebook page. You can just, and it should pop up live. So I think there's a lot of good stuff on that agenda. One of the other things that you mentioned was when the new location for the warming room was being bantered around, and there was quite a few concerns about the location. The town did present a series of mitigating measures to the county, how it would be laid out and how we would direct people to get into the facility as well. And one of the key points that we expressed in our correspondence with them that we are under the standing they agreed to was that the warming room would be open till 9 a.m. And that was mainly because there's a school crosswalk right there as well. And we were trying to alleviate concerns of parents with respect to any interactions or negative interactions that might occur at the crosswalk there. So I think that hopefully we'll get some clarification on that, but that was one of the sort of caveats that we put forward with the layout of the whole property. So again, thank you. We'll wait and see what pops up tomorrow, and then we will most definitely, depending on that, visit shortly your proposal. So again, we thank you for everything. Well, let's see what happens. A lot of cards on the table right now. So thank you. So I have a resolution, be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby receive the presentations from Wellbeing North Hastings as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Miles and Councillor Mullet. All in favor, please? So passed. Thank you. Minutes of previous session, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby approved of the minutes of the meetings of council held on August 12th, 2025 and August 19th, 2025. As presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Deputy Mayor Wiggins and Councillor Eastman. Any comments or questions on those? Seeing none, all in favor, please? Thank you. Minutes of standing committees and local boards. The first one is the Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Oh, hang on. Be resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby receive the minutes of the Bancroft Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting held June 17, 2025 as presented. Councilor Lawrence, you'll move that. And the seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Wiggins. Kevin, is there anything you'd like to bring us up to speed with respect to that meeting or anything that's transpired since that? We haven't really heard a whole lot out of the BBIA.
Well, in accordance with the minutes of the June 17th meeting, not a lot happened that meeting. In the meeting after that, I think that there was a lot of attention surrounding, as you might expect, the garbage situation. And I think there is a letter that we're going to review later in the agenda. The BBIA is cognizant of the fact that they need to get things going to, if they're going to happen next year. And I'm thinking specifically of events and also ordering of flowers and things like that. So,
okay,
it's moving along.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please. So pass. Thank you. Okay. Item 9, unfinished business. There isn't any. Item 10, business. So business signage. BMR 323 Mill Street. I'll put the resolution on the table. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby approve of Dominion Signs Group sign permit request with relief provisions being apply to section 3.0 of bylaw 24-2024 to allow for oversized wall signage. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Lawrence. Mark.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council. We're going to go through a few of these today. The background on this one, the property at 323 Mill Street has requested a sign permit for their location. Are we able to put up the PDF for that location? Business known as BMR, is now BMR, is doing a facelift of the building. This also includes new updated signage, which is in keeping with their brand. If you look at the bylaw 3.0, it says signage excluding signage for the purpose of special sales as described in section 2.3 shall not exceed 10% of the storefront area or 6 meters squared, whichever is smaller. BMR requires relief under section 3.0 with the bylaw permitting up to 10% of the store frontage. Also, the size of it is 10.63 square meters instead of the 6 square meter maximum allowable. Also, general provisions, 2.17, in the event of the sales of the business or other things, they have to apply and get permits. So the owner shall contact the municipal office, which they did, and apply for permits requesting change. Previously erected signs could stay for sizing. However, we have to look at what the new signage is on there. With this one, some may stay the same. However, there is a larger front signage, as you can see up on the board, says BMR Pro. It takes a significant portion of the front facade of that structure. However, the request for a larger sign of 10.63 meters squared, replacing the smaller sign, I think it is a pretty good sign, compliant with other things that are going on in the municipality. And new sign does not conform to the bylaw by exceeding 6 square meters maximum. My conclusion, as a result of renovations updating the business, new signage is required. The request received from Dominion Science Group is deemed reasonable in the opinion of staff, which would recommend that relief of section 3 be offered to allow for the oversized signage. Very straightforward. We have a number of other businesses in town that have oversized signage, and we'll be talking about another one shortly. And I see no issues with the size of the sign that they're putting on the front facade of their structure. The other signage is fine. I have no issue with. Why I needed to come to council today is to say, yes, we can do this signage size.
Any questions? Councillor Lawrence.
To your knowledge, have we ever turned down one of these requests?
Not since I've been here, Councillor.
So I was around when the original bylaw came forth, and while the bylaw does apply throughout the municipality, I think the spirit of the bylaw at the time was when you got to the outer ends of town where you weren't into like high density area, that, yeah, it's okay. You know, I think that was the general spirit. As opposed to when you're smacking the downtown with building after building after building, you know, et cetera. So I agree. It may not be stated exactly, but I think this was within the spirit of the bylaw itself. So all in favor, please? Pass. Thank you. I will read the next one, and then item B, Business Signage Canadian Tire Corporation, 341 Hastings Street. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation, the Town of Bancroft, is hereby approve of international neon sign permit request with relief provisions being applied to section 3.0 of bylaw 24-24 to allow for oversized wall signage. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Mullet and Councillor Miles.
Your Worship and Council, the property owner of 341 Hastings Street North has requested a sign permit for the location. The business known as Canadian Tire is doing a facelift of the building. It is going to be quite an extensive facelift. Nothing structural, but it is really going to change the look of Canadian Tire up in the north end of our town. This also includes new updated signage, which is in keeping with their brand. Their brand has changed over the last while, and some of the color schemes and such will reflect that through their upgrades. Again, 3.0 sign coverage shall not exceed 10% of store frontage area or 6 meters squared, whichever is smaller. Canadian Tire requests relief under section 3.0 within the bylaw permitting up to 10% of the store frontage. They're looking at 43.91 square meters for the front of that facade. So if we're able to look and scroll left and right in that document, you can see that their color patterns and schemes have changed, and they are doing a bunch of different new signage. I don't know if we can scroll left or right on that one.
Sideways? No? Here, I'll peek. Yeah.
So general provisions, 2.17, in the event of a sale of a business or a building resulting in the change of an existing business and the need for a new sign, the owner shall contact the municipal office regarding the requirements for a sign permit and shall be required to reapply for a permit. Sign permits are non-transferable. In this case, there are new owners here at Canadian Tire Corporation here in Bancroft. They have made some changes, and they will continue to make changes on the facade, which are non-structural, and of course, the coloring and signage.
Any questions from, are you done?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Are you saying that you recommend it?
So yes, as a result of renovations and updating the building or the business, new signage is required. The request received from International Neon is deemed reasonable in the opinion of staff. Staff would recommend that a relief from section 3.0 be offered to allow for an oversized wall sign. I'm done.
Okay, okay. Same thing applies as I said to the last one there. So all in favor, please? Still pass. Thank you. Item C, business signage, Dixie Leaf, High Snow Road, Unit 4. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation, the Council of the Corporation Town of Bancroft is to approve YESCO sign and lighting services permit request with relief provisions being applied to section 3.0 of bylaw 24-2024 to allow for oversized wall signage. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Eastman, Councillor Miles. Mark.
Your worship and council, the tenant of High Snow Road Unit 4 requests a sign permit for the location. It used to be M&M. Now it is going to become a Dixie Lee. The business known as Dixie Lee is moving to this location. This requires signage to publicize their business and brand. The previous wall sign on the building did not meet the 10% coverage or allowable 6 square meters and therefore does not conform to the current bylaw. So the M&M sign that was there did not conform to the bylaw. Again, we look at section 3.0 and it speaks specifically of that. Signage excludes signage for the purpose of special sales as described in section 2.3 shall not exceed 10% of the storefront area or 6 square meters, whichever is smaller. Dixie Lee requests relief under section 3.0 with the bylaw permitting up to 10% of the storefront, requesting 6.2 square meters, which is more than 6 square meters and also more than 10%. Commercial logos, I'm going to read through this, shall have limited scale and size so as not to overpower the building. In the event of a sale of a business or building resulting in the change of an existing business and a need for a new sign, the owner shall contact the municipal office, of course, regarding the requirements for a sign permit and shall be required to reapply for a permit. Sign permits are non-transferable. This request is for a wall sign in the current sign box, which is 4.65 meters squared, and window signage of 2.07 meters squared. The total signage is 6.72 meters squared. The new sign does not conform to the bylaw by exceeding 6 square meters and also the maximum of 10%. What you're looking at this photo is pretty much the size of the building. As a result of renovations and updating of the business, new signage is required. The request received from YESCO Sign and Lighting Services is deemed reasonable in the opinion of staff. With, I'm going to put a caveat in there at some point in time. Staff would recommend that relief in section 3.0 be offered to allow for an oversized wall sign. This, I would suggest that council can look and discuss whether they're comfortable with the amount of signage on that frontage.
This looks like a very good rendering.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's already there. However,
No, I haven't noticed it myself either. So we have the upper sign and then we have these three, that's the.
so yes, your worship, the upper sign is already there.
Yeah.
It mysteriously appeared one day.
Yeah.
The lower is also a recommendation that they would like to put on the window. We cover window signage also. So it does take a considerable portion of that frontage, much greater than 10% of the frontage of that business itself.
Deputy Mayor.
Part of those windows, oh, sorry. The upper part of those windows are open, like you can see through them for security wise.
Yes, they are, Deputy Mayor.
So
So they're looking at only doing where the white Dixie Lee is.
Yep.
Putting something there to advertise it, and the rest, my understanding, and there has not been received anything untoward regarding what is going to be the open space where all that brown paper is.
Fine, thank you.
Question. This is obviously a backlit sign and it meets the lumen requirement.
Yes, Your Worship, we did that study. We got the proper documents from the sign permit company that did all this work, and it does meet the lumen requirements for our night skies, et cetera.
Yeah,
And,
it's all LED now anyway, is it not back?
yes, it is, Your Worship.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions, opposition, concerns? All in favor, please. Thank you.
Last but not least,
Well, I get to go before
Yeah.
you, okay. Business sign, I got to do the motion first.
right.
IDA, 90 Hastings Street North, be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft, I know you're excited, but does hereby approve of an encroachment agreement between Bancroft Real Estate and the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft, providing relief provision being applied to section 3.4D of the Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 27-2006 to allow for a minor encroachment of the IDA freestanding permanent sign onto municipal property at the northeast portion of the IDA property. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Eastman. Now it's your turn.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. A little bit of background. The property owner has requested a sign permit for the location. They're going to add a Starbucks sign to that freestanding sign. The business known as IDA is wanting to add Starbucks sign to the freestanding permanent sign in the current location. They require signage to publicize Starbucks business and brand. I'll just let the picture come up there. We all know this sign. I don't know that if everybody knows that some of it's encroaching on municipal property, which is the sidewalk and such. So the comprehensive zoning bylaw talks 3-point yard encroachments permitted. Signs shall be erected in accordance with the provisions of any sign bylaw of the municipality, county, or the Ministry of Transportation. This request is to enter into an encroachment agreement to allow the existing IDA freestanding permanent sign to remain as is with an appropriate signage agreement at the applicant's expense. Conclusion. The request is deemed reasonable in the opinion of staff. Staff would recommend that a relief for section 3.4 of comprehensive zoning bylaw and section 23 of the sign bylaw number 24-2024 be considered to allow for an encroachment agreement between Bancroft Real Estate and the Corporation Town of Bancroft, providing appropriate relief provisions.
I have one concern, and it's not the encroachment of land. I was under the understanding this sign was going to be moved to allow for better access into the property, which is pretty convoluted right now and takes the entrance close to the front door. And I've heard that within the last month. So is that off the table now?
Your Worship, that's where they'd like it for now. There has been talk. However, there's nothing in writing or anything permanent to say that it will be moved. My suggestion to staff and council and Your Worship is that if they do look at moving it, then they put it in an appropriate position, which would be a completely new sign somewhere in that corner of the property.
Yeah, because there's access and egress problems there right now. We have cars parking right up to the entrance. We have cars parking right up to the exit. I think it's only a matter of time. So one of two things has to happen. Either we go back out and remark these parking and eliminate couple of these parking places, but that was put on hold because, again, we were informed that they were going to move the sign.
So staff have spoken with IDA contractors and such. Our understanding between us is that where that little black SUV is parked right there in the bottom right corner.
Yes.
There's a double parking space there. One of the parking spaces to the south will be eliminated and it'll be a shorter parking space. There will be a curb cut not too far from where the IDA sign is to allow for traffic to come in to widen that entrance. And there also has been discussion about potentially putting traffic bollards there to protect the sign at this time.
So are they doing that? Or has this just been discussion?
This is my understanding that we have come into that agreement.
So the curb will be cut back further and we will be eliminating some
Yes, your worship.
parking spaces. So
Yeah.
somewhat achieving the same thing as moving the sign to a certain degree, but yeah.
What we're going to do with that is allow for a wider opening for folks to get in and out, because it is tight, it is on a bit of an angle. By doing the curb cut and allowing that portion to be open, then we will make it easier for ingress egress.
I'm just,
Yeah, basically what, they're not changing. Oh, sorry, thanks, Kevin. Basically, they're not changing, and they're just adding the Starbucks sign to it, existing. And
You're correct.
I know there was talk all summer about correcting that parking there, and it never happened yet. So it sounds like it might be going to happen. So
right, the curb cuts. Okay. I'm just wondering with this whole design, which was sort of not maybe done 100% correctly, is there any liability on our part right now with this? Because again, it's tight getting in and out of there and pedestrians, et cetera. Do you feel that by them cutting the curb back, et cetera, and doing that, it's going to mitigate a lot of that?
I've spoken with Jake also on this. He has been on site with myself and the contractor, and we feel this is a very good measure to take to widen that part of the entrance exit.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Miles.
I'm not necessarily opposed to this. When I see all of this action and all these kinds of requests, I think it continues to speak of the progress of the town, and people are investing, and, you know, we're bringing big improvements to some of our big anchors, which I think is brilliant. But I kind of remember talking about this thing years ago, like when we were sort of sitting with it block 90, was it not sort of proposed, it was, or block 9, it was not going to come down then? It sort of is interesting, because as you start to speak, that's what I thought, I don't even think it was supposed to be there anymore. But I'm not opposed. It's just the same as what the mayor just mentioned, the curiosity of that. And, well, changing the in and out is necessary, so I'm good with that.
I dare say, Councillor, I saw this. I know there's an encroachment. I'm like, I think we need an agreement. And that's why I'm here with council. I just can't let it sit without council discussing it.
Thank you.
This sign up, but is there any thought of putting another sign on the other side of the building?
There's more signage coming from what I understand. I have not received a sign request for other signage, but there will be more signage on the building to reflect other things going on within that building. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, no other questions? All in favor, please? So passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council.
Okay. Okay. Who's doing this stormwater?
Jake is on.
Oh, is he? Okay. Where is he? Here he, no, that's Tracy. I see Tracy. Oh, there he is down there.
Yeah,
Item
I'm
E.
here.
Okay, storm pipe replacement proposal. Motion before us be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft is hereby approve the proposal submitted by McElroy Mains Construction Limited in the amount of $133,315 to replace 67 meters of 825 millimeter storm pipe and install a 1,500 millimeter access manhole. Could I have a mover and a seconder to put this on the floor, please? Councillor Lawrence and Councillor Eastman. And Jake, you are there somewhere?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, just pulled over on my way home from Belleville here. But yeah, we as everyone knows, we need to replace the stormwater pipe behind Price Ford because it's in critical condition. We had budgeted $150,000 for this in this year's budget, and we invited a few companies to give us some proposals on how they would do it. And McElroy Mains had a proposal that satisfied all the requirements and was the best price and was within our budget.
I think I heard you say this was in the budget for this year already.
Yeah, it was one of the capital projects for this season.
Okay. This has been collapsing. Is this the same one that's been collapsing? Okay.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
I'm assuming this is going to help with the overall stormwater management on the main street as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's just it's upgrading it portion by portion. This will having a new pipe will allow actually allow a faster discharge from downtown as well, because we'll be using like the full capacity of the pipe. It won't be damaged or collapsing. We don't even know what the inside of this pipe is, so it'll be better in the big rain events for sure.
Oh, sorry, Tracy. Councillor McGibbon, sorry, I didn't see your hand there. Oh, oh, you don't? Okay. There was okay. I didn't miss you. Okay. Okay. Any comments or questions for, yes? Good.
A quick question is, it'll be done relatively soon, Jake?
Yeah, they're planning to get started at the end of September, early October, and they figure it's going to be a week job max.
Good, thank you.
All in favor, please. So passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item F, MOU between Town of Bancroft and Kitchichu Manitou Madawaskarini negotiation team. Be it resolved, the Council of Corporation. Wait a second, just disappeared on me there. Thank you. Accept the report regarding the proposed memorandum of understanding between KMM negotiating team and the Town of Bancroft for information as presented, and further that staff be directed to execute the memorandum of understanding as presented. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Miles and Councillor Lawrence. And who is speaking to this?
That would be me. Thank you, Mayor Jenkins. You may recognize this report from our previous planned council session. We did receive some information and requests from the previous agenda item that we followed up on. So we deferred it at the last meeting to ensure that we were able to answer all of the questions and have brought it back today. So KMM is a valued community partner. We rely on them for a lot of information sharing, and we support them with a lot of their initiatives as well. We partner with them on a number of projects, including Wawatesi, the Algonquin Way, the placement of benches and wayfinding information in our parks. We do have a duty to consult with First Nations in our community when we're doing large capital projects, such as the water tower, the arena retrofit, all of those things. And they have partnered with us and provided support for those projects, which help to move those applications forward. So we received a request from the KMM negotiation team here in the community to enter into a memorandum of understanding, basically to state that we're going to continue to do what we're already doing. We're going to continue to include them in our conversations where it's appropriate and feasible for us to do so. And they agree to continue to include us in their conversations about their projects when it's appropriate and feasible and possible. The MOU does recognize that there are sometimes legislative restrictions that don't allow us to do something they may want us to do, or vice versa. And so that's also reflected there. So this is an agreement. This isn't an agreement that we're doing any one particular thing, just that it formalizes the intention that we will continue to consult with them and they will continue to consult with us, and that we will share information with each other that may affect each other's community.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All in favor, please. Thank you. Item G, garbage bag tag program. Yeah, well, yeah, we got 10 minutes still, I think, or 6 minutes. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft receive the garbage bag tag program update report for information purposes. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Mullet and Councillor Miles. Audra.
All right, just wanted to provide a bit of an update on how things are going with bag tags, because they are definitely a hot topic of discussion right now. Overall, the implementation of the bag tag program has gone very well from a staff perspective. We had to pick a date, so I chose the date of September 1st for the purposes of this report. And to that point, we had already sold over 13,000 bag tags. Tags are available for purchase at the Town of Bancroft office, at the Dungannon waste site. So if someone goes to dispose of their waste at the waste site and they don't have a tag, they are able to purchase tags right there. We don't make them take it home and come to the office and then put it back out a week later. So that service is available right at the waste site. They're also available at 3 community retail partners. So Bancroft Home Hardware, Bancroft Foodland, and Bancroft No Frills all have bag tags and sell them at their stores as well to provide additional opportunities for folks to obtain their tags, not restricted to regular Town of Bancroft office hours. We believe that we're on track to meet the financial targets that we had set to hope to recover a good portion of that $200,000 with the bag tag sales to date. And we will continue to provide, pardon me, to provide updates as that financial picture becomes clearer as folks stabilize the number of tags that people are purchasing stabilizes over time.
Thank you. So I did make a comment about this in my opening address about the bag tags, and we fielded many questions on it, and not all of them like real happy questions. But as we've explained, number one, this is a reintroduction. There was bag tags years ago. Bag tags are very common in many municipalities, and right now our $1 rate, which is going up on a schedule, is probably the lowest one that is around. And yes, while we did lose the $200,000 in the recycling revenue, and this will hopefully help to offset that as well, the general, concept is anytime that you can make an operation self-sustaining, such as the waste site and garbage, which there is some discretion with people how they use it, whether they decide to throw everything in the garbage, whether they, do recycle, which of course has no charge to it as well. There are options and ways that people can reduce the impact of this and reduce the amount that goes into our waste site as well. So it is a pretty common theme. And the alternative is waste sites are very expensive to operate. And as we actually even move from cell to cell within our approved footprint, it's expensive just to open up a new cell as well. So, and well, why do cells fill up? Well, the more garbage you put in it, the quicker it fills up. So hopefully this will be an incentive, this recycling, and for anybody who's composting or using the food recyclers, which do dramatically help reduce waste, the impact will be minimal. So anyway, that's yes.
I will just add that we are still continuing to work with several of our multi-residential customers, so our apartment buildings or multi-unit facilities, to find an arrangement that works well with them. Some of them have chosen to just receive a bill on a monthly basis for the amount of waste that they would generate on average. We've had that program in place for a couple of years with our large commercial producers. And it works very well, convenience-wise. So for those multi-residentials that choose to do that, they'll receive a bill and they'll be added to a list in the trucks where they won't have to put tags on their bags. They'll just, as long as they continue to pay their bill, will continue to pick up their waste. Some of the multi-residential buildings, though, have decided that they are going to make their tenants responsible for their own waste. So there won't be a blanket policy about how we treat multi-residential waste. It will be up to the discretion of the landlord of those buildings or the property manager or the board, if it's a condominium corporation, about how that's going to work. So I would encourage residents in multi-residential facilities to speak with their site supervisor, property manager, landlord, or condo board to determine which direction their facility is going to take with regard to residential waste tags.
Maybe you'd like to address one other aspect of this, is that we've had comments from people who said that there was no notification, they weren't aware of it, et cetera. So maybe you could explain the process that went into leading up to this.
Sure. I don't have all the dates exactly in front of me, but I can tell you that the actual bag tag bylaw was finally passed after several months of discussion last April. So there were several council meetings early in the year that spoke to bag tags. We did also speak to the loss of the revenue and how we were going to need to look for revenue tools to replace the revenue we were losing from recycling, and figured that into this year's budget. So it was also discussed during our budget conversations. There are pop-ups on our waste site. It was included with municipal tax bills. There has been newspaper coverage of some of those council meetings talking about that. I believe the mayor had 1 or 2 sessions with the radio earlier in the year where we talked about bag tags as well. It's been heavily publicized on our social media channels, both Facebook and Instagram. So there has been lots of notice. It's really difficult to find the one way that every person engages because they all engage differently, but we feel we have put out a lot of information on a lot of different channels to try to get that information to folks as best we can, including signage at the office and at the waste site, and now signage at the participating retailers with pictures of the town of Bancroft waste site passes to draw attention to them as well.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I have one, I find it, I read your report that they're working with the multi-use apartment buildings, et cetera, working with them now. It was instigated the 1st of September. It should have been done, I think, before that. If our common residents have to pay starting 1st of September, I would assume all the multi-use individual that you're working with will be back billed to the 1st of December. Or September, sorry.
Yes, that's exactly right. So the ones who have expressed an interest in regular billing will become part of that bill cycle. And for now, the rest of them are putting tags on their bags.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. So we're going to do a little deviation here. I see we have 2 very special guests that have come into the council chambers. Gwen and Jeanette from the Wallendaw and BCT. And Gwen called me and just begged to do, if she could do a little speech, you know. So I'm going to let you ladies come up, for whoever wants to chat, you know, come on, you know. And there's a button you have to push to make the go red before, yeah, so we can, that's, yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah, that's how you turn it off. Okay.
I asked Jeanette to come with me here. I thought it was very important, but I had to promise her that she didn't have to give a speech. So, so we were just going to drop these things off as a thank you. However, we were convinced that perhaps coming in just saying a few words maybe would mean a whole lot more. So I'm going to put my glasses on here. Sometimes saying how much we appreciate the things that the town of Bancroft does. We can use our words, but sometimes visuals and expressions of thanks are so much more sweeter. So we brought some stuff today as our way of saying thank you. In looking at our operations, Wattle and Daub Cafe, this is year 10. I can't believe that we are 10 years old at the cafe. When it first came to council, the idea of putting the building up, I mean, we had no clue what we were doing, what we were taking on. However, we knew at the end of the day that we needed to find some way to support transit. So luckily, we had a very receptive few members of council that really helped us to move forward. And we're in year 10 of Wattle and Daub Cafe operations. When we talk about how much do we raise for transit, sometimes that doesn't actually mean anything until you talk about how it's making a difference. So Wattle and Daub supports some of our public transit shortfalls. So for an example, 15 businesses in and around, in Bancroft alone, we transport employees to those 15 businesses through public transit. That's huge for us. They can get to work and the businesses then can continue to operate fully staffed. On average, we transport 849 individuals just in the town of Bancroft locally, between 1,000 and 1,500 rides monthly locally, just for shopping, appointments, work, you name it. It makes a huge difference. Add to that the delivery of food boxes, frozen meals and groceries. Well, that the operations of Wattle and Daub mean that we can add those extra pieces of fluff, I guess, if you want to call it that, because it's not actually transportation, but it's transportation services. So grateful for Wattle and Daub operations and for the town of Bancroft's support of our operations. So thank you to the town for your support, not only for BCT, but for all local agencies. Your vision and willingness to always listen. Sometimes the answer may be no. We've heard the word no several times, but you always come back with an alternative. And if you don't, you keep the door open. And you don't even tell me I'm annoying, so I appreciate that very much. We recognize all of you today, and with appreciation, we want you to take a moment and just look around at the work that you have done and the work that you have made possible in our community and the services that you have allowed to exist for the betterment of the community we serve. So we have some yummy treats for you, and we invite you during the break to enjoy offerings from our charcuterie studio and from the Wattle and Daub Cafe. So thank you.
So thank you very much. I'm going to talk about these separate. So BCT, extremely valuable. And I know you took a hit with the loss of funding from the county. We still lobby.
Yes.
We still lobby, and we, that money was coming through the homeless prevention program, and just the way the programs have all morphed, and if you read the HPP Act, there is some room for interpretation there, because you are, as you say, homelessness prevention, but by getting people to work, getting people to services, et cetera. So it's a great, unique service. It's been unique from the day it was created, and it's fantastic to have it here. With respect to the Wattle and Daub, boy, what a fantastic place that is. So anybody who comes to town, they all want to go there, and I just hope when they're here that you're open. I know we've had that.
That's why I brought Jeanette. You can convince her that we should be open.
Yeah. Got to just get those few extra hours in there. So all our out-of-town visitors, because that's one of the first things, and you've done such a fantastic job with that patio. It's spectacular. And this year at the Jamboree, all of our patrons had a fantastic time and really appreciate it and love the whole environment and setting. So thank you, and congratulations for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I think on that note, we're going to take a 10-minute recess so we can enjoy some of these. So, thank you.
I will do a bit of an introduction and then we'll go through the slideshow to clarify some details. So the strong mayor powers change somewhat what the budget process is, who's responsible for the budget process and how it has to happen. They dictate certain periods where certain things must occur and then provide timelines and dates about what happens when that first thing happens that triggers the next round of things. So the report outlines all of the dates that we have set for meetings to ensure that we meet all of those requirements and provide as many opportunities for public and council input into the budget process as possible. So having said that, I think we'll just go through the slideshow. Michelle put this together. So I can walk through it, but I will have her chime in and add any details as well. So the mayor has signed a directive directing staff to begin to gather and prepare information to prepare a preliminary financial outline so that work on the budget can begin. And he's asked us to complete that by early October. So we have started that process to identify areas where we need to make adjustments to the current budget. On October 7th, there will be a public engagement survey that will be released, and it will be open for 2 weeks of comment for Town of Bancroft ratepayers, both residential and commercial residents and business owners. It will cover things like where should we be spending money? How are we doing? If we had to reduce services, what areas would you want those reductions to occur in? Do you think we're spending enough on this particular area? Should we maintain what we're doing? You know, those types of things to get some very broad but still pointed information from our ratepayers about what they are looking for in the budget. In November and December, there will be a couple of finance committee meetings scheduled where we'll talk about targeted things. We'll look at the water wastewater budget. We will look at the results of that engagement survey at those meetings, kind of talk through some of the things that may come out from those surveys, some of the comments that are made, and then make some recommendations and suggestions for continued and further development of the budget. Under the strong mayor's powers, pardon me, the presentation of the budget is now a responsibility of the mayor. So staff will not be presenting the budget. It is the mayor's budget, and it must be presented by February 1st. So we have scheduled that for January 27th. That's the closest we could get to dates. The mayor must provide that budget to each and every member of council and the clerk and make the proposed budget available to members of the public for review. So that'll be published on January 23rd when our normal agenda would be published with all of those details. That's when the first of the many time periods in this process begin. So from the date that that's published, there's a 30-day amendment period. You're going to be busy during that amendment period. So the amendment period runs from January 23rd to February 23rd. It's actually 32 days instead of 30 because 30 days falls on a weekend. So you get the benefit of the extra couple days there. Budget meetings are scheduled with council for Tuesday, February 3rd. So that will give you all the budget for a full week to review and digest and think about. You can pose any questions you have ahead of time so we can make sure we have answers, and then we'll chat about it on Tuesday, February 3rd in detail. We'll have a second budget meeting on Tuesday, February 17th to provide whatever updates to the budget may come out of those preliminary meetings prior to that date. Budget amendments must be submitted to the clerk in writing by February 3rd. So when you receive that council agenda package on January 23rd, you should look at it. And if you have a specific request that you know you want to make to change something or propose an amendment for, you should provide that in writing to the clerk in advance of that February 3rd meeting. Having said that, because we'll be talking about the budget in detail on February 3rd, we will also accept in-person amendments on February 3rd from members of council to be considered in the budget. Each amendment that's proposed has to be considered and voted on separately. So if each of you have 10 things that you want to propose an amendment for, then there will be 10 votes for each of you on each of those things. So we're hopeful that we can have good discussion and come up with things that, you know, are kind of common themes. But if there's 100 amendments, then there'll be 100 votes to determine whether those amendments move forward for consideration or not. If no amendments are approved, then the budget is deemed to be adopted on February 23rd. So if you present a whole bunch of amendments and none of them are accepted by the mayor, he can veto those. And then there's another whole process that goes along with that. If you don't make any amendments because we do a really great job and you're happy with everything that you see, then the budget is deemed to be passed at the end of that 30-day period. How am I doing so far, Michelle? The veto period. So if you make an amendment that passes and council says, yes, this is an amendment we want to push forward, then the mayor has a veto period available to him from February 24th to March 5th. So at any point in that 10-day period, he can look at any amendments that were recommended, approved, and passed by council and either accept them and change the budget to reflect them or veto them. If he vetoes, he needs to specifically state which amendments he's vetoing. And those vetoes would be circulated to all members of council and the clerk and posted on the website. If he doesn't exercise a veto power, then the budget is deemed to be adopted at the end of the 10-day veto period. So if he vetoes something, nobody challenges him, then the budget is adopted. If he vetoes something and 2/3 of council, oh goodness, my screen froze, hang on. And 2/3 of council decide that they disagree with that veto, there is an override period that you can exercise, and that occurs between March 6th and March 20th. It's a 15-day period. It would be considered at a regular council meeting, so you'd provide notice that you disagree. We have scheduled a regular council meeting for March 10th in that window. You need to submit your notice of override to the clerk in advance of that meeting, and then it would be included on the agenda for discussion and vote. 2/3 or 5 members of council must vote to overturn the mayor's veto for that amendment to stand. If 2/3 of the members of council vote to override a veto, so if 5 out of 7 of you agree to override the veto, then the amendment is adopted. It does get worked into the budget and the budget is deemed to be adopted. If you do not approve an override, then the budget is considered to be adopted at the end of that veto period on March 20th, 2026. Clear as mud, right? We will guide you through these at each step of the process. So it'll be draft budget with engagement. The mayor will present the budget. Then there's the amendment and discussion period. Then there's the veto period, and then there's the override period.
Question. I thought there was another public presentation somewhere in here. So the first one we have is the survey that's going out. Is there a public presentation period in this?
Yeah, there'll be public comments after the budget is tabled, decided, basically.
And what's the
Once
date?
these amendments.
That one. Okay. I just couldn't remember which time slot it fitted into. And I'm not on the thing here. Okay.
Just a question I have is on the public engagement survey, how's that going to operate, or what's the format of that, or do we know at this point?
So there will be a Survey Monkey, so it'll be available digitally online through a link on Facebook, and then we'll have paper printed copies at the office as well for anyone who wants to come in and complete a survey in person.
Yeah, like I'm wondering if we need to somehow advertise. I'm just thinking of some of the comments we've got in the past that we didn't include the public. Maybe on the ad on the radio possibly, or even on the mayor's comments when he's on there. And or somehow that we can make sure that much like our garbage situation where people say they didn't know. So if we can give them all an opportunity, then they'll have that. That's all. Okay, thank you.
Yep, and we are looking at all the dates of when we need to have things to the newspapers to be able to put an ad in the newspaper to let folks know that there is a survey available through any of those channels that I just mentioned.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, we'll come.
Sorry. Are there any key pieces of information that we just won't have in time for the budget to be prepared, like OPP costs?
So we have discussed the OPP cost scenario, and there is, nothing's been decided yet, but we have looked at taking it outside of the budget and showing it as a separate, what's the word? Separate levy assessment line, et cetera. And I think it serves a couple of purposes. We saw another municipality that did it, but we won't do it the way that they did it. It really starts to highlight, when you get your paper, there's what it's costing us, because as everybody knows, we're being disproportionately hit by OPP costs. So yeah, so we're full steam ahead, but our intent is that we're pull that part out and deal with it separately. And what it is what it is, and then probably do it as a separate line on the budget. So
We may
on the
also-
tax bill.
We may also have some challenges with benefit and insurance premiums, because those renew on April 1st, and we often don't get that information until about 30 days prior to the renewal. So we'll use industry standards and best practices to estimate what those things will be so that they're covered off.
So what is the very last date here that this? Oh, sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
Three things. First thing, question was very similar to Kevin, so that was answered, so that's great. Next thing, boy, did they ever complicate this? Just seems like such a process now. Third point is I'm so glad that there's public engagement here. I think it's wonderful that they have some opportunity to put their feedback into this. But I agree with Deputy Mayor Wiggins. We definitely need to make sure that we advertise the crap out of this so that people do not miss their opportunity.
Thank you. So just going back to my question, looking here, so what's the very last date, assuming everything went to the max, and is that the March 20th date?
Yes, that would be the March 20th date.
So I think the only thing that I think we had discussed was the possibility of a public town hall when it was all over and done with. So, yeah, I still think we should look at that in our planning.
So if there are no amendments, then it's possible that we are finished on February 23rd. If there are no amendments to the budget. So we haven't scheduled that town hall.
Right.
Because it could be as late as April, and it could be ready to go the beginning of March.
Right. Okay. Got it. So they're still in the plans, just we don't know where. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Councillor Miles.
And this doesn't mean, just so the public is aware and myself, this doesn't mean that on that date we would be sitting making our mill rate decisions or our tax-based decisions. It doesn't mean that won't happen that day, particularly if we're going to have a new line about a specific cost that we don't have built into the budget. So it won't be like the next meeting we would be making a decision about where taxes are going to stand. We would just have our budget, the one piece of how we do our taxes in place. Do I understand that?
Yeah, but they sort of go hand in hand. Once you've got your budget in place, you pretty well.
But then the OPP cost would be
yes,
one
obviously.
thing out of that?
I would think the province is going to do since this is their process and that's their baby, that they need to get that, to everybody. And I'm sure, I guess maybe I'm being optimistic that
Yeah.
that they're being cognizant of the fact that we need that, before we can do much. It won't slow us down in our process. It's a single budget line.
Yeah, no, I think it's speeding up our process, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, that part's okay for me, but,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
For clarity, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but for clarity, you will not see all in favor to adopt and accept this budget. That will happen at the end of whichever period is satisfied first. So, yeah, there is no, this is the proposed budget, all in favor, all against. That is gone. That is, you don't get to vote on the budget final. You get to vote on the amendments that might form the budget, but the actual, this is our budget, there is no vote for that. The mayor owns that budget.
Okay. But by having the amendment process, it de facto, it's the same thing, so.
You hope the process has laid out everything clearly by the time it gets to that point. So,
Yeah.
and there's lots in here to that process, bringing that to the table.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Yeah. You should have seen us sitting down, figuring this all out, so all in favor, please. Receiving, thank you. Item I, end of summer report, student administrative assistant. Be resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Town of Bancroft hereby received the student administrative assistant's report for information purposes only. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Miles and Councillor Eastman. And do we have anybody who's going to speak on this? Okay. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Your Worship. So both of our summer students that assisted the clerk's department and assisted with our events, specifically Canada Day and the Rockhound Jamboree, prepared reports. This one from the administrative assistant who assisted in the clerk's department with filing and also assisted with operations of Canada Day and the Rockhound Jamboree, and just their impressions of their summer and what they learned over the course of their employment.
Well, why don't you give us little Cole's notes on that?
Certainly. So the admin assistant, Michelle could speak probably more to what was achieved in the clerk's department, mostly with filing with digital and physical filing. And then again, with operations of the Canada Day event. So a lot of those tasks during the event where you need a lot of people, and also with advertising the event. So they did a lot of work on graphic design and Canva and posting on our social media and working with our various community organizations. This is the first report being received, but wanted to mention that they both took a lot of initiative and really stepped up. I was impressed with both of them this year. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So that's number one, which you've done 1 and 2. So we'll just vote on this one. All in favor, accepting, please. Thank you. And Robin has already spoke about the next one as well, but we'll go through the process here. End of summer report, Tourism Development Officer. Be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby accept a report from the Tourism Development Officer regarding the outcome of the Tourism Development Officer summer student position at the Town of Bancroft from May 7th, 2025 to August 29th, 2025 for information purposes only. Could I have a mover and a seconder on that? Councilor Lawrence and Deputy Mayor. And you've said all you need to say on this. So all in favor, please. So thank you. Yes, you can. Sorry.
Sorry. Good job, Kels, beside me looking at me here. Are we going to get some kind of a summary report of the Rockhound Jamboree eventually? How that come? Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, we're still getting final invoices and stuff for some of the third parties. So as soon as we have all that compiled, we'll provide a report. But I can tell you that our attendance was well over 8,000 people this year, which is really awesome. So.
Good. Item
That's the main
K.
thing is the attendance numbers. We can use that as another regional hub.
Yeah.
They're here, but they're not all in Bancroft, so that's a good draw for the tourists for sure.
Item K, International Day of Peace Proclamation, September 21st, 2025. Whereas International Day of Peace was first established in 1981, and this year's theme is Act Now for a Peaceful World. And whereas the number of global conflicts is on the rise, and whereas peace means not just the absence of conflict, but the presence of democracy, healthy people, and a healthy planet, good relations with neighbors, and a fair society. And whereas the Canadian Peace Museum is being established in Bancroft, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Bancroft is hereby proclaim September 21st, 2025 as Peace Day in the town of Bancroft. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Mullet and Councillor Lawrence. All in favor, please. Thank you. Okay, item 11, business arising from notice of motions. And I think at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Councillor McGibbon.
Sorry, it would not let me unmute it. At this time, as per the request of Councillor Mullet, I would like to withdraw this notice of motion.
Clerk, is there anything we need to do? So do we actually vote or just? Okay, you may certainly speak on. But push the button.
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to Tracy McGibbon and Councillor McGibbon for putting that notice forward. As she said, that was a surprise to me when I saw the last council meeting, and I do appreciate that so much, but I don't need to see my name on the building, so thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you. Just all in agreement? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, all in agreement. So thank you, Councillor Mullet and Councillor McGibbon. Item 13, consent agenda. Be it resolved, the items listed under consent agenda, items 13B to 13G be received by the Corporation of Town of Bancroft for information. Is there any item that somebody would like pulled out with respect to action? We can still comment on them within the pile, but is there any actionable items there? Seeing none, all in favor, please, for that. Oh, no, sorry, I just needed a mover and a seconder. Yeah, I just got it backwards. Okay, Deputy Mayor and Councillor. Now, we can go through. Is there any of these that anybody would like to pull out and talk about? So I'll start with one. Thank you to the Township of Faraday for their letter of support regarding the homeless shelter. I did mention this also at County Council. Yes, it's good to see our neighbors recognize, and we're all being impacted by this as well. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to draw attention to that was in this list or to speak on? Councilor Lawrence, did you have one? I thought before, maybe I was mistaken. I thought you had a particular item that you thought was coming up there. Okay. Seeing that, all in favor, please. Thank you. Next, we have community announcements and events. And I'm going to start opening this up for Councillor Miles, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge the North Hastings Community Integrated Association. This past week, Sarah and I attended their 60th anniversary dinner. So the Integrated Association have been here that long, and it was wonderful. It was, they had a full agenda, lots of people there to celebrate the integrated opportunity in our community. In a world where DEI seems to be like swear words when it comes to politics, it was uplifting It was joyous. It was really warm and wonderful to hear where the Integrated Association has taken self-advocates through this journey in our town. The agenda was very, very full. It was acknowledged by our MPP. It was acknowledged by our Premier, Doug Ford. And we were busy, so they were busy, so the town didn't get up to speak. But one of the things that ran through my mind while I was sitting there was, while I was selling real estate many years ago, I had a client come, and herself and her daughter has Downs, and they were looking to buy a house, and I happened to be working with them, and I said, why are you coming to Bancroft? I didn't know, by the way, about her daughter, Wendy. And she said, I'm coming here because of your integrated association. I said, really? And she said, this is one of the best in the entire region in the province, and I am coming here specifically for my daughter. And they stayed here and lived here until Wendy passed away. So that's a real testament to hear that kind of a story from somebody who walks in that world, to they came here specifically for that group. So congratulations to 60 years. Jane Mayberry was sort of their keynote, and she had lots of cool anecdotal stories about the self-advocates and about how parents are feeling about the association. It was just full of praise, and I think this community should be very proud for the work that that group does and how we embrace inclusion within the boundaries of our community. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I want to add to that because I had a very similar story told to me today about somebody who had moved to town from an urban area and had a child that had some issues as well, and said that the care and service here was far better than they'd ever received in any other urban area. So to echo your sentiments there. So yes. Anybody else have any? Yes.
I'm wondering if there might be some value from the town sending over a happy anniversary certificate or something of a congratulatory note that from the town of Bancroft.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I make that motion.
I'd like to make the motion that staff put forward a certificate for them on behalf of town and council.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Great, thank you. Anybody else have anything? Oh, yes. Go ahead, Andre.
Okay, we've been working with the local OPP. I'm not sure what Trevor is, the public engagement, public safety guy. Yeah, it's part of the board, but we've been working with Trevor there to schedule a fraud presentation, and I've actually just received confirmation of the details for that. So all of the municipalities that participate in the detachment board are going to chip in a little bit. The OPP is going to bring a fraud presenter to town for the day. They were originally going to provide 1 2-hour workshop, but after consultation with the municipalities and some stakeholders, they're actually going to do 2 now. So the event will be on October the 7th. And the town has agreed to provide the Dungannon Rec Center for the building to host the information sessions. There'll be an afternoon session from 2 till 4 p.m. The folks at the Shamrock Seniors Club have graciously agreed to change their programming for that day to support the presentation of that information to their club members and anyone else who wants to attend at that time. And then there will be a second presentation that evening from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. for folks who work through the day but still want to participate. There is an Eventbrite link that you can pre-register at. Pre-registration is not required, but it would be awesome if folks do pre-register so we can make sure that there's enough coffee and snacks for everyone for the session. Fraud schemes are getting more and more complex and difficult to detect every day. They look like regular things, like your Gmail account has been compromised. Please recover it here. Did you just try to sign in? And you click no, it wasn't me. And they ask you to sign in and check your activity. Well, now they have your login information and your passwords. Once they're in your email, then they have access to anything that comes to that, like bank notifications or hydro bills or CRA returns or all of those kind of things. And it can get pretty bad pretty quickly before you even know you've done it. So that's one that's floating around right now, but there are dozens of them. They aren't just the, please send $300,000 to this private bank account and you win the lottery. Those obvious ones, they're much more complex now. So anyway, there will be 2 presentations. We encourage members of the public. Council is invited to attend one or both sessions. Please let me know if you do intend to attend either session, and I will make sure that Trevor and the presenter are aware. And we hope to see lots of folks there.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Miles.
Just one more really quick. September the 11th at the Playhouse, the TIFF movie called The Manhattan Project, not as in Oppenheimer and the bomb, but as in the beverage, a Manhattan, is the movie that's playing at the Playhouse at, I think it's at 2 and at 7. And the movie was taped here. It has lots of locals from around here, Joe Schulman, Roz, who used to look after the Playhouse. There's lots of road scenes that are all from around here. Images from the Arlington. So it was part of the movie was taped up there. Part of the movie was up on Charlotte Lake. So it is a true hometown image about this area where they did the movie. Canadian, it did very well at TIFF, got lots of accolades. And so they're running it on Thursday, September the 11th at the Playhouse. Let's fill the place.
Thank you. And, okay, I was going to ask you, Councillor McGinn, if you wanted to talk about Terry Fox Day since you will be attending.
Yes, it's the 45th run for the Terry Fox Run, and it takes place this Sunday at the Ridge Golf Course. Registration 8 a.m. and then the run starts at 9 a.m. And yes, I'll be representing the town at that event. So yeah, they always have a great turnout and they always raise a lot of money. So it's wonderful. I encourage everybody that hasn't registered, that plans to, you still can. If you go on the Terry Fox Foundation website, you can still register for the event yet. So yeah, so exciting for them. They always do a great job. Second announcement, there is a Bancroft minor hockey fundraising event at McGee's Cakes on Main on Saturday. For every $10 donation that you make to Bancroft minor hockey, you will receive a free cupcake from McGee's. So last year they raised, I forget, it was over $2,000. So anyway, so the goal is to raise that much again, and this is to help them offset their costs for running their minor hockey and the user fees. So there you go.
Thank you. I want to back up here. Councillor Lawrence sent me a note during the meeting and I was remiss. I thought you were going to bring it up there. And so I'm asking the indulgence of the clerk for a moment here. Going back to our garbage and recycling discussion here with respect to when Councillor Lawrence presented the BBIA minutes there, the question has come up and I have posed this to staff and I can't remember the answer, to be frank with you, about any other day other than Monday for commercial pickup, because with a lot of businesses being closed and the fact that they really can't put their garbage out, on Saturday night or Friday night, for staff to potentially have a look at any potential down the road of switching this around somehow.
So I can provide some preliminary comments, but we can look at it closer. Monday and Thursday are commercial pickup days. Thursday allows businesses, particularly large volume producers, to have their garbage sheds empty for the weekend before tourists and cottagers arrive and fill them up pretty quickly. So we're talking about fast food places in particular. Monday, those sheds are full. So moving those pickups to Tuesday or Wednesday, the garbage piles up far too quickly. So that's one concern. The Wednesday residential route is already a 10-hour day. So adding anything to that route on Wednesday is not an option, nor would it be helpful for those folks that require multiple pickups in a week. And the Dungannon day, the Dungannon pickup day, which is Tuesday, is also quite a full day. We only have one truck and one operator. So, unless we wanted to go back to 2 trucks on the road and bringing back a second operator, adding another route on either of those days to do a pickup isn't feasible. We did used to pick up commercial garbage on Fridays. instead of the Thursdays. It was changed to Thursday many years ago because of traffic volumes on the Friday and not being able to safely maneuver the trucks through town on those super heavy traffic days. It's not as big a problem in the off season, but off season gets shorter and shorter all the time and constantly changing. Or this part of the year it's on Thursday and this part it's on Friday, and then we're back to Thursday and then we're back to Friday. Causes confusion. So we've had the Monday, Thursday for several years to try to accommodate as many of all of those demands as we can. So that's the rationale for why it's what it is at this point.
Is there, oh, yes. Go ahead.
One comment, just to alleviate the problem there was to get their garbage out by 7. And possibly we could back that shift up a little bit and that would accommodate everybody maybe, but I'm not sure if we could do that with the.
That was going to be my exact question. Is there any way of even bumping it, like what they're supposed to be out by 7 in the morning? Is that the norm?
It is. And again, part of that is because of traffic, because if you bump it to 8 o'clock, then you're interacting with all of the school buses in the downtown core and people coming to work and trying to park and get to work. So the intent of having it out earlier was to minimize the traffic congestion and the interaction between the trucks stopping at peak traffic time in Bancroft, which is business hours. Well, they are, but then town's already full. They can't pull over. The parking stalls are full and the parking areas are full.
I think what Andre's saying is they do the town area early and then move out. Yeah, move out from there. So again, let's just see if we can put our thinking caps on this and see if there's anything. Okay, thank you. Okay, let me just get back here. Okay, we did that. Bylaws first, second, and third reading. Be resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, third time. Pardon me? There is none. Okay, then I'm not going to read that if there's none. How about we go to the next item then? Closed session of council. Moving into closed session. Be it resolved that the council of the corporation of the town of Bancroft is hereby move into closed session pursuant to the Municipal Act SO 2001, Section 2392B. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local boards. F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. K, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations. General nature, Faraday Waste Management Board. Legal matter pertaining to occupational health and safety. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Mullet and Councillor Lawrence, all in favor, please. Thank you. You will zip us out.